Hello, this is Lynn at Linnovation, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to go over the new Flex WiFi mode that has recently been added to CTR2 MIDI version 2.0 firmware. In normal MIDI mode, CTR2 MIDI uses a USB or Bluetooth connection to send MIDI commands to a third-party app. This mode is very similar to using CTR2 dial firmware running on the CTR2 controllers that are based on the M5 dial. This drawing shows CTR2 MIDI connected to the SmartSDR for iOS, macOS app. The app translates the MIDI commands to radio functions and controls the radio accordingly. There are many apps available that support MIDI control, and the CTR2 MIDI can work with most of them. In case you're wondering, SmartSDR for Windows doesn't support MIDI control. This is the reason the new Flex WiFi mode was added to version 2.0 firmware. Switching CTR2 MIDI to Flex WiFi mode allows you to use it as a standalone controller for your Flex radio without a third-party app. This mode is similar to CTR2 firmware running on the CTR2 controllers that are based on the M5 dial. As shown in this drawing, it connects directly to a radio server over Wi-Fi. Flex WiFi mode uses the Wi-Fi network API to control your radio. In this mode, it runs in parallel with any version of SmartSDR, including the Windows version. SmartSDR provides a visual user interface, and CTR2 MIDI gives you physical control of many functions on your radio. One drawback to using Flex WiFi mode is that since it connects directly to the radio, using it for remote operation requires the use of a VPN. For remote operation, I highly recommend using the standard MIDI mode along with Marcus's SmartSDR for iOS and macOS, which supports SmartLink as shown in this drawing. Since I'm recording this on my Windows computer, I have SmartSDR for Windows running and a video of CTR2 MIDI in the bottom left. CTR2 MIDI version 2 firmware incorporates Morse prompts. This allows you to know what mode it's in and a verified mode change. Let's go ahead and power up the unit. When the CTR2 MIDI boots, it will send either an M or an F in Morse to indicate the mode that it's operating in. M means it's running in normal MIDI mode. F means it's running in Flex WiFi mode. In this case, it's running in MIDI mode. Turning the knob, you can see that the MIDI does not control SmartSDR on Windows. Next, I'll open a terminal session and connect it to CTR2 MIDI. It'll come up in a blank screen. All you have to do is touch any key to start the terminal mode. You can also note that the terminal mode comes up showing that we're in CTR2 MIDI controller mode. To switch to Flex WiFi mode, I can press the G key on the terminal keyboard, or as noted to the right of that option, I can press button 5 and then press and hold the knob button. Let's do that now. You'll notice it sent F with the question mark. That means it's asking if you want to go to Flex WiFi mode. It'll time out after about 5 seconds if you don't press the knob to acknowledge it. If I press the G key on the terminal, it does the same thing, asks me the same question, and I can press the yes key. Now it's going to switch to Flex WiFi mode. Basically, this is doing the same thing that CTR2 dial and CTR2 Flex do when it switches modes. It's rebooting the controller into the new mode. Now you'll notice that we came up in CTR2 Flex mode. Once you switch the unit to Flex WiFi mode, you'll need to configure it to work with your Wi-Fi network and radio. The configuration is saved in flash memory. A terminal connection is required to configure the unit. You can use PuTTY, Teraterm, or the built-in terminal on your Mac or Linux computer. Setting up these terminal programs are discussed in the CTR2 MIDI Flex mode operation manual. I've added a link to the manual below. Once you have configured CTR2 MIDI to your liking, you can run CTR2 MIDI without a terminal using only the Morse prompts. With the Flex Mode menu open, press the A key on the terminal to open the Wi-Fi menu. In this menu, press the A key again to set the router's SSID. The B key to set the password, and the C key to set the radio's IP address. The radio's IP address can be found in SmartSDR for Windows under the Settings, Radio Settings, Network tab. In SmartSDR for iOS and macOS, it can be found under the Radio Information menu. While in this menu, you can enable Auto Connect and set the slice you want to control. Enabling Auto Connect will cause CTR2 MIDI to connect to your Wi-Fi network when it powers up. If you use this option, make sure you start SmartSDR before powering up CTR2 MIDI, otherwise CTR2 MIDI won't bind to the SmartSDR session. If Auto Connect is enabled, you can bypass it by pressing and holding the knob switch during boot. Once you have everything set up to your liking, press the G key on the terminal to connect to your radio. You can also press and hold button 6, then press and release the knob switch to initiate a Wi-Fi connection. CTR2 MIDI will sound S followed by the slice letter and a question mark in Morse. Press the knob switch or the Y key on the terminal to start the connection process. If the connection is successful, CTR2 MIDI will sound a C character. If the connection fails, it will sound an error or 8 bits. Note that CTR2 MIDI must be able to connect to your Wi-Fi router and to your radio, otherwise the connection will fail. Now that you have CTR2 MIDI connected to your radio, you can use the knobs and controls on CTR2 MIDI to control SmartSDR. CTR2 MIDI includes a built-in CW keyer. This allows you to send natural CW over the network using paddles or a straight key. Since the Flex radio doesn't generate sidetone when keyed over the network, CTR2 MIDI includes a sidetone oscillator. If you're planning on using CW, open the keyer menu from the main menu by pressing the B key on the terminal. Press the A key to open the macro menu. Here you can edit the CW macros. Pressing the A key in this menu allows you to enter your call sign or any other text that you want to assign to the character. Inserting the character into a macro causes the text you've entered to be sent. The other options control the keyer settings. The keyer speed can also be controlled by a knob setting. The other settings must be changed with the terminal. The report speed determines the speed used to sound the mode changes and the speed used for the CW status report. In the control menu, there are 4 main knob modes. Each mode has a turn and a push and turn action. You can switch between the knob modes by pressing and releasing the knob switch. Or by pressing the number 1 key on the terminal. As seen at the top of the screen, the knob is in the home mode. All yellow LEDs are off on the unit. In this mode, turning the knob changes the VFO frequency. Pressing and turning the knob changes the volume level. If I press and release the knob, I move the knob to mode number 1 and the lower LED lights. In this mode, turning the knob changes the AGC threshold, and pushing and turning the knob changes the zoom level of the pen adapter. You can change which action each knob executes by pressing the number 2 and number 3 keys on the terminal. Once the action is highlighted, Turn the knob or use the left and right keys on the terminal to select the action you want this mode to change. Assigning button actions work the same way. Each button has two functions, a short press and a long press. Press the letter on the button you want to change and then turn the knob, or use the left and right arrow keys on the keyboard to change the action assigned to that button. For example, to change button 6's long press action, press the H key on the terminal to select button 6L. Then use the knob or the arrow keys to change to the new action. Pressing the Enter key or the knob switch accepts the change. Note that the buttons are laid out in order they physically appear on CTR2 MIDI. At the bottom of the button menu, you'll find the Extended Button Mode option. This is enabled by default. In this mode, each knob mode has 12 button actions available. I've organized the knob actions in groups so that they're easier to remember. The home knob mode has the general actions like mode and band control, mute, zero control, home frequency, and ATU control. Most of these functions are self-explanatory. The home frequency button on button 5 allows you to set the radio's current frequency as the home frequency by long pressing button 5. Once this is done, short pressing button 5 at any time will return you to the home frequency. Button Mode 1 has direct mode selection buttons. Button Mode 2 has direct band selection buttons. Button Mode 3 has CW macros. I have a table in the CTR2 MIDI Flex mode manual that you can print out as a cheat sheet until you learn the actions. You can also disable extended button mode if you find that you don't use the extended buttons. In this mode, the home buttons are available on all modes. Once you've configured CTR2 MIDI, you can disconnect the terminal program and operate it in standalone mode. I think that you'll find it becomes a natural extension of your radio. This concludes the introduction of CTR2 MIDI's Flex WiFi mode. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Better yet, join the CTR2 group on Groups.io for the latest information on all of the Linovation CTR2 products. If you want to be alerted each time I post a new video, consider subscribing to this channel and click the bell icon below. Thank you for your interest in CTR2 products. 73 KU7Q.